Blackpink, The Journey to Success, full 1-hour documentary. Part 1. The dream begins. Before the lights. Before the fame. Before the world screamed their names, there were just 4 girls. 4 dreamers. Each from a different world, with a single shared heartbeat. They had no idea that one day, their music would echo through arenas, break records, and touch millions of souls. But their journey was not made of glitter and gold. It was built on sweat, sacrifice, and endless hours in the shadows. This is not just the story of fame, it's the story of faith, friendship, and fire. This is Blackpink, The Journey to Success. Our story begins far from the stages of Seoul. It begins in 4 corners of the world, where 4 young girls dared to dream beyond their surroundings. Each of them carried something special, a spark, a sound, a rhythm of their own. They didn't know it then, but destiny was already pulling their paths together. 3 or 5 so Jennie's early life. In Seoul, South Korea, January 16, 1996, a baby girl named Jennie Kim is born. Bright, observant, curious about everything. But her story takes an unexpected turn. At just 10 years old, she moves to New Zealand for school. Far from home, far from family, it was there, in a small classroom surrounded by a new language and new people, that Jennie began to understand independence. She was quiet but strong, polite but passionate. When other kids played outside, Jennie often stayed in, listening to music, her headphones becoming her best friends. Her dream of music grew silently. She imagined herself on stage, but in her heart, that dream felt distant, maybe too distant. Years later, when her mother asked her about her future, Jennie said she wanted to become a singer. So she came back home, to Korea, and took a risk that would change everything. At just 14, she walked into the YG Entertainment audition room, a room filled with hundreds of hopefuls. She stood in front of the judges, nervous yet composed. And when she sang, everyone stopped talking. Her voice was unique, confident, emotional. Her rap, clean, powerful, and sharp. That day, YG Entertainment found their first Blackpink member, the girl who would soon be known as the Ace. Title: Rosé, the voice that touched the world. Every great journey begins with a single sound. For Park Chae-young, that sound was her voice, gentle, golden, and filled with dreams. Born on February 11, 1997, in Auckland, New Zealand, and raised in Melbourne, Australia, Rosé grew up far from the Kpop spotlight. She spent hours singing in her church choir and strumming her guitar, writing little songs only her bedroom walls could hear. Her father once told her, "If singing makes you happy, never stop." Those words became her promise. In 2012, YG Entertainment held auditions in Sydney. Rosé almost didn't go, thinking, "I'm not good enough." But she went anyway. Out of hundreds, she ranked first. 2 months later, she was on a plane to Seoul, 15 years old, chasing a dream halfway across the world. Trainee life was brutal. Days started before sunrise and ended long after midnight. She missed home, struggled with the language, and often cried herself to sleep. Yet when everyone else went quiet, Rosé would take out her guitar and sing. That voice, fragile yet determined, kept her going. Then in 2016, Blackpink debuted. The world met 4 young women ready to redefine pop. With songs like Whistle and Playing with Fire, Rosé's airy, emotional tone became the group's heartbeat. Fans across the globe were captivated, not just by her voice, but by the sincerity behind it. Behind the scenes, Rosé stayed humble and hardworking. She practiced endlessly, refining every note. On stage, she shone with quiet power. Off stage, she was soft-spoken and grateful. When Blackpink conquered Coachella in 2019, Rosé stood beneath the blazing lights and smiled. The shy girl from Melbourne, now singing to the world. In 2021, she stepped out alone with her solo debut, On the Ground. It wasn't about fame or money. It was about reflection. "I worked my whole life just to get high, just to realize everything I need is on the ground." The message was simple. Stay grounded, stay real. Her follow-up song, Gone, stripped everything away, leaving only voice and guitar, the same combination that began her story. Today, Rosé is more than a performer. She's a symbol of authenticity, proof that softness can be strong, and that true artistry lies in emotion, not perfection. From church choirs to sold-out arenas, from an unknown trainee to an international icon, Rosé reminds the world that sometimes the quietest voices echo the loudest. Rosé, the girl who found herself through music, And in doing so, helped millions believe in their own dreams. Rosé's story isn't just about fame or music. It's about courage. The courage to leave everything behind, to face fear with grace, and to keep believing even when no one else can see your light. Every note she sings carries a piece of that journey. Born on March 27, 1997, in Buriram Province, Thailand, Lisa grew up surrounded by warmth, family, and movement. She was a natural performer, always dancing, always smiling. Even as a child, she carried a spark. When YG Entertainment held global auditions in 2010, Lisa was only 13. Thousands auditioned, but she stood out immediately. Her energy, charisma, and raw talent couldn't be overlooked. Out of all participants, Lisa was the only one selected from Thailand. She left her home at 14, flying to South Korea alone. A new country, a new language, a new life. It was terrifying, but she never let fear win. Trainee life was tough. Lisa was surrounded by Korean trainees who already understood the culture and language. She often couldn't communicate and sometimes felt invisible. But instead of giving up, she learned. Slowly, through late-night studying and constant effort, she began to understand, to belong, and to rise. Her dance skills became legendary within YG. No one moved like Lisa, sharp yet fluid, fierce yet elegant. Every move had purpose. Every performance, emotion. But it wasn't only about skill. It was about spirit. Lisa brought joy into the practice rooms. She lifted others when they were tired. She laughed when things got hard. Her energy became the heartbeat of the team. Then, in August 2016, after 6 years of relentless training, Blackpink debuted. The world finally met the girl who once danced in a small room in Thailand, now standing center stage in one of the most powerful girl groups in history. With her first rap in Boombaya, Lisa stunned audiences. Her charisma, confidence, and precision were impossible to ignore. She wasn't just the main dancer. She was a performer who could own any stage. Fans around the world were captivated by her duality, the playful smile and the unstoppable energy. But Lisa's rise wasn't just about talent. It was about resilience. She faced criticism, stereotypes, and loneliness. Being the only non-Korean member wasn't easy. Yet she turned every doubt into drive. Each challenge made her stronger. Years later, her solo debut, La Lisa, became an anthem of pride. The song wasn't just music. It was her identity. Say my name, La Lisa, love me. It was a declaration that after all the years of struggle, she finally stood tall as herself. The music video broke records worldwide. Fans celebrated not only her success, but her story. A Thai girl who dreamed fearlessly, worked endlessly, and conquered globally. Today, Lisa isn't just an idol. She's an inspiration to every young person who dares to dream beyond borders. She reminds the world that talent has no nationality and passion has no limit. From Buriram to Seoul, from dance studios to world stages, Lisa's journey is proof that hard work can turn fear into power and dreams into destiny. Lisa, the heartbeat of Blackpink, the pride of Thailand, and the girl who showed the world that nothing is impossible when you keep moving forward. Before the lights, before the fame, there was a girl with a calm smile and an unshakable heart. Kim Jisoo, born January 3, 1995 in Gunpo, South Korea, was never the loudest in the room, but she always carried a quiet confidence that drew people in. Growing up, Jisoo was artistic and curious. She loved drama, photography, and music, anything that allowed her to express emotions without words. In 2011, Jisoo auditioned for YG Entertainment. She wasn't the most experienced singer or dancer at the time, but there was something about her presence, a calm yet magnetic charm that caught everyone's eye. Out of thousands of hopefuls, she was chosen. She began her journey as a trainee at just 16. Life as a trainee tested her strength. Long hours, strict routines, and endless evaluations pushed her to her limits. She once said she cried often during those years, not from weakness, but from the pressure to prove herself. Yet no matter how hard the day was, Jisoo never complained. She smiled, trained harder, and quietly became a pillar of encouragement for everyone around her. When Blackpink debuted in 2016, Jisoo was the eldest, the unspoken leader who grounded the group with her maturity. Her deep, stable voice became the foundation of their harmonies. Her visuals captivated audiences, and her calm personality balanced the energy of the team. Fans quickly learned that Jisoo was more than just the visual. She was the glue that held everything together. While Jennie, Lisa, and Rosé each had distinct roles that shone brightly, Jisoo's brilliance was in her steadiness. She wasn't always in the spotlight, but she didn't need to be. Her strength was in her constancy, her grace, and her ability to bring peace in chaos. Outside of music, Jisoo's charm extended into acting and entertainment. Her wit made her a favorite on variety shows, and her empathy made her beloved by fans and staff alike. In 2021, she took a bold step forward, starring as the lead actress in the K-drama Snowdrop. It wasn't an easy transition. Stepping into a dramatic role meant facing new challenges and public expectations. But Jisoo handled it with the same calm determination she had always shown. Her performance earned praise for its emotional depth and authenticity, proving that her talents went far beyond music. As Blackpink grew into a global phenomenon, Jisoo remained humble and grounded. She became a global ambassador for major fashion brands, known for her elegance and effortless beauty. Yet when she speaks to fans, she's still the same Jisoo, warm, playful, and sincere. Jisoo's journey isn't defined by how loud she shines, but by how deeply she endures. She reminds us that leadership doesn't always mean being the loudest voice. Sometimes it's the quiet strength that keeps everyone standing. From trainee to idol, from laughter to tears, from soul to the world, Jisoo's story is a testament to patience, grace, and inner power.
Blackpink, The Beginning, 2011. 2011. In the heart of Seoul, a quiet revolution was beginning, one that would eventually redefine the world of K-pop. Behind the sleek doors of YG Entertainment, a search was underway. That year, the story began not with glitter and fame, but with auditions, uncertainty, and dreams too big for the walls they were held in. Far away in New Zealand, a shy but fiercely talented girl named Jennie Kim stood in front of a camera to record her audition tape. Her voice carried a quiet confidence, soft but powerful. She didn't know it yet, but that moment would change her entire destiny. When YG Entertainment saw her video, they didn't hesitate. She was invited to Korea, marking the first step in what would become an unforgettable journey. Around the same time in Australia, Rosé Park, a 14-year-old, with a guitar and a voice that could melt glass, was convincing her father to let her chase a dream halfway across the world. "Just give me one chance," she said. When she finally landed in Seoul, she was scared, alone, and could barely speak Korean. But when she sang during her first audition, the room fell silent. Within weeks, she officially became a YG trainee. Meanwhile, in Thailand, a young girl named Lalisa Manoban was dancing in her bedroom, her movements sharp and magnetic. She had been performing since she was a child, her body already fluent in rhythm. When YG announced global auditions, she didn't hesitate. She walked into the room, smiled, and performed like the stage was built for her. Out of thousands of hopefuls, she was the only one chosen, the first foreign trainee YG had ever accepted. And then, there was Kim Jisoo, a bright girl from South Korea who loved to act, sing, and bring joy to others. She joined YG in 2011 too, graceful, confident, and with the quiet charm that would one day make her the face of the group. She wasn't the loudest trainee in the room, but her natural charisma made her unforgettable. 2011 wasn't glamorous. It was practice rooms that never slept, mirrors that reflected exhaustion, and nights filled with tears and determination. The girls didn't know each other yet, but somewhere in those long, lonely hallways, their paths were slowly drawing closer. Every day was a test, hours of vocal lessons, dance drills, and evaluations that could end everything in a single mistake. Many trainees came and went, but these four stayed. Something about their energy, their hunger, kept them going. They didn't realize it yet, but destiny was weaving their stories together. Jennie's precision, Jisoo's warmth, Rosé's soul, Lisa's fire. The year 2011 wasn't the year Blackpink debuted. It was the year the foundation was built. 4 girls, still strangers, all entering the same universe. Guided by fate, driven by dreams, and unaware that they would soon form one of the most powerful girl groups in history. 2011 was not the year of Blackpink's fame. It was the year of their becoming. Blackpink, The Training Years, 2012. 2012. Inside YG Entertainment's heavily guarded building, the sound of music echoed through concrete walls day and night. Behind every beat, every high note, and every move, there were dreams, fragile, burning, and barely holding together. It was the year when 4 girls began to find one another, even if they didn't yet know they were building the foundation of Blackpink. Jennie had already settled into the rhythm of trainee life, early mornings, late nights, and constant evaluation. She had a quiet intensity, a calm confidence that made her stand out. Her rap skills were developing quickly, her pronunciation and tone sharper with each verse. Then came Lisa, the girl from Thailand with unmatched energy. When she entered the YG practice room for the first time, the other trainees turned their heads. Her dance was magnetic, powerful, fluid, and alive. She didn't speak much Korean yet, but her movement spoke a universal language. Lisa trained harder than anyone. Jisoo joined them that year too, and the room began to change. Her presence was warm and grounding, the kind that made others feel calm even in chaos. She wasn't the loudest, but her charm filled every corner of the room. Then came Rosé, the girl who had flown across the world with nothing but her voice and a suitcase full of dreams. It was the hardest year for her. She missed her family in Australia, struggled with language barriers, and faced the brutal reality of the trainee system. 2012 was the year these 4 souls began to orbit each other. They weren't yet Blackpink. They were just girls with calloused hands and sore throats, chasing something unseen. They didn't know who would debut, or if any of them ever would, but they stayed, together. After long hours of dancing, They would collapse on the studio floor, laughing, sharing snacks, and talking about their dreams. That's where the bond started, in those quiet, exhausted nights when friendship began to replace fear. They started to understand each other's rhythm. Jennie's precision balanced Lisa's energy. Jisoo's calm steadiness held them all together. Rosé's emotional depth gave their songs soul. 4 different worlds. Outside those walls, no one knew their names. But inside, something extraordinary was happening. The trainers began to notice how well they worked as a unit. Their chemistry was rare, natural, effortless, almost magnetic. 2012 was still early, but whispers had started inside YG's building. These girls might be something special. It was the year of learning, testing, falling, and rising again. The year they started becoming sisters. There was no spotlight yet, no fame, no Blackpink name. Just 4 girls giving everything they had to a dream that wasn't guaranteed. 2012 wasn't about success. It was about survival. But through that struggle, the spark that would one day light up the entire world was quietly being born.
Blackpink, The Almost Debut, 2013. 2013. Inside the gray practice rooms of YG Entertainment, the air was heavy with ambition. Music pulsed from every wall. Mirrors reflected determination, and dreams danced between exhaustion and hope. This was the year when the 4 girls, Jennie, Jisoo, Lisa, and Rosé, began to feel that something extraordinary was within reach. By now, they had spent long months training side by side. They laughed together, cried together, and became sisters in every sense of the word. The late-night practices, shared meals, and endless rehearsals had turned strangers into a family. And that year, the promise of debut was finally on the horizon. YG had begun preparing a new girl group, one that would carry the company's legacy forward after 2NE1's success. Rumors spread inside the building. This could be the group that would redefine Kpop. For the girls, it was both thrilling and terrifying. Every day mattered. Every performance was a test. Jennie was starting to stand out. She had featured in G-Dragon's That XX and Black, gaining the public's first glimpse of her charisma. Inside YG, she was known as a perfectionist, calm, focused, and endlessly determined. But behind her confidence, Jennie carried immense pressure. She knew expectations were high. Lisa's energy lit up the room. Her dance moves were sharper than ever, effortless but full of fire. Though she still struggled with language, her body spoke fluently through rhythm. She was the first non-Korean trainee YG had ever accepted. Jisoo had become the group's quiet strength. Her charm was natural, her laughter contagious, her presence reassuring. She began modeling for YG projects and appearing in commercials. But her heart stayed in the practice room. Rosé, the newest among them, was finding her voice, literally and figuratively. She spent most of her hours in the recording studio, experimenting, learning, and growing. Her voice was unlike anyone else's. Then came the whispers. They're almost ready. YG staff hinted that the group might debut soon. Excitement filled the building, but it was quickly followed by uncertainty. The lineup kept changing. Some trainees were added, others left. The girls were never sure who would stay until the end. Every month brought new hope, and sometimes heartbreak. There were days when they thought debut was near, and others when silence replaced every plan. But even in confusion, one thing remained constant: their unity. Late at night, they would sit on the floor, dreaming out loud about their group name, their music, and what it would feel like to stand on stage together. In 2013, they didn't debut. The world still didn't know their names. But behind closed doors, something powerful was being created: a friendship, a sound, a force that would one day shake the world. This was the year Blackpink almost debuted. The year before the light, when they learned that even dreams must first survive the dark.
Blackpink, The Silent Year, 2014. 2014. The dream that once felt so close suddenly slipped further away. Inside YG Entertainment, the same practice rooms echoed with music and determination. But for the four girls, Jennie, Lisa, Jisoo, and Rosé, the excitement of debut had turned into an exhausting wait. Rumors of a new girl group had been circulating for over a year. Fans called it the new YG girl group project. There were photos, speculations, and countless online theories. But inside YG's walls, there was silence. The company postponed the debut again and again. Jennie was beginning to feel the weight of that uncertainty. She had already been publicly introduced through collaborations, her face known to fans. People expected her debut soon, but behind the scenes, she was still just a trainee, practicing, waiting, repeating. Lisa continued to shine in every dance session. Her moves were flawless, her charisma undeniable. But even the strongest energy can falter under the pressure of waiting. Being far from home, in a foreign country, she sometimes felt the loneliness creep in. Yet she kept smiling. Jisoo was the calm in the storm. She balanced everyone's emotions, offering quiet strength when the atmosphere grew heavy. In 2014, she began to appear in more public projects, small acting roles, brand shoots, and advertisements. But she never saw them as distractions. And then there was Rosé, still one of the newer trainees, still fighting to prove she belonged. She spent hours every night with her guitar, writing, humming, and perfecting her tone. Music was her escape. She was far from her family in Australia, but within those practice, 2014 was not the year of success. It was the year of waiting. Painfully, endlessly waiting. YG's plans kept shifting. Trainees came and went. Each time someone left, the fear grew stronger. What if I'm next? There were tears, doubts, and moments when they questioned everything. But in those dark moments, they found strength in each other. Late at night, after hours of training, they would talk quietly about how long they'd come, how much they'd grown, and how they couldn't give up now. Their friendship became their anchor. Lisa's laughter would lighten the mood. Jisoo's calm words kept everyone grounded. Jennie's discipline reminded them of their purpose. Rosé's voice, soft and emotional, brought them back to why they started in the first place. Outside the walls, the world had no idea who they were. Inside, they were already building something extraordinary. Not through fame, but through resilience. 2014 tested them. It pushed them to their limits. But it also prepared them. Because sometimes, greatness is not born in the spotlight. It's born in the shadows of silence, patience, and pain. They didn't debut that year, but they didn't break either. They were still training, still dreaming, still believing. The world wasn't ready for Blackpink yet, but they were getting ready for the world.
Blackpink, The Formation, 2015. 2015. After years of waiting, training, and uncertainty, the fog finally began to lift inside YG Entertainment. The whispers that had haunted the halls for so long were now growing louder. The new girl group project was back on track. For Jennie, Lisa, Jisoo, and Rosé, it was a year that would quietly change everything. They had survived the long silence of 2014, a year that broke many but bonded them closer than ever. They weren't just trainees anymore. They were each other's family. They had learned to endure, to trust, and to keep their focus even when there was no clear sign of debut. But now something was different. The company was paying attention again. New songs were being written. New choreography was being tested. And the name Pink Punk, the rumored title of YG's upcoming girl group, began to circle among fans online. For the first time in years, hope started to feel real. Jennie stepped into 2015 with a stronger mindset than ever. She had grown into a leader, confident, composed, and capable of carrying the weight of expectations. Lisa, meanwhile, continued to evolve as a performer. Her dance precision was unmatched. Every move she made seemed to command attention. Trainers praised her work ethic. She was always the first to arrive. And the last to leave. She started working on her vocals too, wanting to be more than just a dancer. Jisoo was beginning to gain recognition outside YG's walls. She appeared in dramas and music videos, her visuals catching attention nationwide. But what people didn't see was her heart, the endless hours she still spent practicing, improving her vocals, and supporting her teammates. Rosé had blossomed. Her voice, once shy and trembling, was now powerful and soul-stirring. Producers were drawn to her tone, airy yet emotional, delicate but unforgettable. She poured herself into every note, every lyric, every practice. Her growth was visible, her confidence blooming. By mid-2015, YG began seriously preparing for debut. The girls could feel it. There were more meetings, longer rehearsals, and secret evaluations. They started recording songs that would later become part of Blackpink's foundation. The lineup, after years of changes and had finally stabilized, it was the four of them: Jennie, Lisa, Jisoo, Rosé. No more uncertainty. No more additions. No more replacements. Just four girls who had endured everything and were finally standing on the same path together. They didn't have a group name yet. They didn't know what their concept would be. But they knew who they were: powerful, united, and ready. 2015 was the year of becoming. The year the pieces finally fit. Behind those practice room doors, history was quietly forming, a storm gathering its strength. In just one more year, the world would know their names. But for now, they trained in silence, holding on to the dream that had carried them through years of darkness. Blackpink was almost here.
Blackpink. The debut, 2016. 2016. 5 years of training. 5 years of dreaming, crying, doubting, and rising again, all leading to this moment. The world had been waiting for YG Entertainment's new girl group, and inside those black-painted halls, 4 girls who had once been strangers were about to make history. For Jennie, Jisoo, Lisa, and Rosé, this was the year everything changed. On August 8, 2016, YG officially introduced Blackpink to the world. The name symbolized 2 sides of their identity: black for power, confidence, and edge; pink for softness, beauty, and grace. It wasn't just a name. It was a statement that these girls could be fierce and feminine, tough and elegant all at once. Their debut single album, Square One, dropped with 2 songs, Boom Baya and Whistle. The moment those beats hit the world, everything exploded. Blackpink wasn't just another girl group, they were a phenomenon. Jennie took the stage with unshakable power. Her rap verses were sharp, her expressions bold, her presence commanding. Years of pressure and perfectionism had built her into a performer who could dominate with a single glance. She wasn't just an idol. She was a leader who carried the confidence of someone who had earned her place through pain and persistence. Lisa's energy was electric. Her dance moves were precise and fearless, the kind that made people stop and watch. From Thailand to Seoul, her journey had been long, but every beat she hit was proof that talent knows no borders. Fans around the world couldn't. Jisoo's elegance shone effortlessly. Her beauty was undeniable, but it was her charm, her warm smile and natural poise that connected with people. She balanced the group's intensity with calm strength. And then there was Rosé, the golden voice that carried emotion like sunlight through glass. Her tone was soft yet powerful, delicate yet deep. When she sang, Boom Baya became an instant anthem, fierce, energetic, and unapologetically bold. Whistle, with its minimalist beat and haunting vocals, revealed their softer side. Together, they showed the duality that Blackpink would soon become famous for. Within days, they shattered records. Blackpink became the fastest girl group to win a music show award after debut, just 13 days after their first performance. Fans worldwide were hooked. Social media lit up. YouTube views soared. And the world began to whisper one truth: Blackpink was the future. Behind the smiles and spotlights, though, the girls still carried the memories of their journey. The years of doubt, the sleepless nights, the times they almost gave up. Every performance felt like a thank you to their past selves, the ones who had believed even when no one else did. 2016 wasn't just their debut, it was their rebirth. 4 girls who had walked through years of silence now stood before millions. Their voices loud, their message clear, their legacy beginning. Blackpink had finally arrived.
Blackpink, the 2017 journey, the rise beyond borders. 2017, the year Blackpink stopped being the new girl group and started becoming a global movement. Just 1 year after their explosive debut, the world began to see something different, something fierce, elegant, and unstoppable. Inside YG Entertainment's practice rooms, the energy was intense. Every move, every note, every lyric, perfected until exhaustion. They weren't just chasing success, they were defining it. Their name, Blackpink, had already begun to represent duality, beauty and power, grace and grit, softness and steel. In June 2017, the world watched as they released As If It's Your Last. Bright, colorful, and filled with summer energy. It was a different side of Blackpink, more playful, yet still commanding. The song didn't just top Korean charts, it went viral internationally. Within hours, the music video shattered YouTube records, gaining millions of views and proving that Blackpink's influence wasn't confined to one country. Fans, Blinks, from across the world began to unite. From Seoul to São Paulo, from London to Los Angeles, their fandom became a movement of love, loyalty, and empowerment. Every performance was met with roaring cheers, glowing pink hammers, and emotional tears. But behind the scenes, the girls were still learning what it meant to carry fame. Late nights in rehearsal rooms, days spent perfecting choreography, and moments of quiet reflection filled their schedules. For Jisoo, it was about balancing her radiant humor with professionalism. For Jennie, embracing leadership and confidence. For Rosé, growing stronger vocally and emotionally. And for Lisa, standing tall as a symbol of diversity. They were no longer trainees or rookies, they were artists shaping pop culture. 2017 also marked Blackpink's expansion beyond Korea. Their music reached Japan, where they officially debuted with a Japanese mini-album that dominated the Oricon charts. Fans lined up for hours just to catch a glimpse of them. Their presence, style, and charisma transcended language. Their energy spoke for them. This was also the year Blackpink's stage performances evolved into something legendary. Each show wasn't just a performance, it was an experience. Rosé's soaring vocals, Jennie's bold rap, Jisoo's calm elegance, and Lisa's fierce dance moves became perfectly synchronized expressions of unity and individuality. Together, they created a harmony that was rare, 4 distinct souls moving as one heartbeat. By the end of 2017, Blackpink had already proven they weren't a passing trend. They were setting the stage for a revolution, redefining what it meant to be a K-pop girl group on the world stage. As the lights dimmed on their final performance of the year, the girls looked out at the endless ocean of pink light sticks, and for a moment, they realized this wasn't just success. It was history in the making.
Blackpink, the 2018 journey breaking the world. 2018, the year Blackpink didn't just rise, they erupted. A year that would redefine K-pop forever. From Seoul to New York, from Tokyo to Paris, Blackpink's name became a symbol of power, fashion, and music. The girls were no longer just Korea's top girl group, they were becoming a global sensation. In June 2018, they released DDU Do DDU Do, a track that shook the entire industry. The opening beat, sharp, daring, unforgettable, announced their arrival on a world stage that had been waiting for something new. Jennie's fierce rap, Lisa's explosive charisma, Jisoo's quiet strength, and Rosé's powerful voice collided in perfect balance. It wasn't just a song. It was a statement. The music video broke records overnight. In 24 hours, millions of views poured in, making Blackpink the most watched girl group in YouTube history at the time. Every frame was iconic. Diamond thrones, bold colors, flawless choreography. As the song topped charts globally, something incredible was happening. K-pop was no longer limited by borders. Blackpink's energy, visuals, and authenticity became a language everyone understood. Even those who couldn't sing the lyrics felt the emotion, the power, the confidence. That same year, Blackpink released their first mini-album, Square Up. With just 4 songs, they made an unforgettable impact. Tracks like Forever Young and really showcased their depth. One, it was a reminder that behind the glitter and fame were 4 young women who had grown stronger through years of struggle and sacrifice. 2018 was also the year they began stepping into Western media. Blackpink appeared on major international stages and interviews, stunning audiences with their charm and unity. Their fandom, Blinks, multiplied by millions. Fans who had once watched them through screens were now singing along in different languages, carrying banners, and lighting up arenas with pink. But success wasn't without pressure. The girls often spoke about how surreal it felt to suddenly become global icons while still feeling like trainees at heart. They continued to push themselves, practicing endlessly, rehearsing until dawn, determined never to lose the sincerity that had brought them this far. And then came a turning point, their collaboration with Dua Lipa, Kiss, and Makeup. It was Blackpink's first major English collaboration, and it proved something vital. They could stand, shoulder to shoulder with global pop stars. The track climbed charts worldwide, blending cultures and fans like never before. By the end of 2018, Blackpink had done more than anyone expected. They didn't just represent K-pop, they redefined it. They showed the world that talent, passion, and hard work could break any boundary. As fireworks lit up the Seoul sky on New Year's Eve, the 4 girls stood together backstage, tired but smiling. They had conquered 2018, but deep inside, they knew this was only the beginning.
Blackpink. The 2019 journey, conquering the world. 2019, the year Blackpink made history. From the moment they stepped onto the Coachella stage, they weren't just a K-pop group anymore. They were global headliners. April 12, 2019. The crowd buzzed with anticipation under the blazing Coachella sun. As the screens lit up with the words, "Blackpink in your area," a roar erupted that echoed across the desert. Jennie, Jisoo, Lisa, and Rosé stood tall. 4 girls from Seoul, once trainees chasing dreams, now performing at one of the world's biggest music festivals. Their performance was electric, a mix of power, elegance, and raw emotion. The audience, thousands of fans, many who had never seen a K-pop act live, were mesmerized. Blackpink didn't just perform. They owned the stage. Every move, every beat, every lyric became a global statement. K-pop had arrived, and its queens were here. That Coachella moment wasn't luck. It was the result of years of relentless training, sacrifice, and unbreakable sisterhood. And it marked the beginning of Blackpink's world domination. In the months that followed, they launched their In Your Area world tour. From Asia to North America, Europe to Australia, arenas sold out in minutes. The sight of thousands singing in unison, in different accents, different languages, proved just how universal their message had become. Each performance was a story. Rosé's voice soaring over the crowd, Jennie's charisma igniting cheers, Jisoo's graceful charm captivating hearts, and Lisa's dance setting every stage on fire. Together they weren't just artists. They were an unstoppable force of culture and empowerment. 2019 also marked a milestone for Blackpink's individuality. Jennie, the first member to debut solo, performed her hit solo live on global stages, inspiring millions of young women to embrace their independence. Lisa became a fashion and dance icon across Asia. Jisoo's beauty and acting drew attention from the film industry, and Rosé's emotional depth connected deeply with fans worldwide. Their influence expanded beyond music. They became faces of luxury brands, redefining style and setting global fashion trends. From Chanel to Dior, from Celine to Bulgari, each member represented a new kind of power, confidence rooted in authenticity. Behind the glamour, though, they stayed grounded. Between flights, interviews, and rehearsals, They supported one another, laughing, teasing, and keeping their bond strong. The fame was enormous, but their friendship was bigger. By the end of 2019, Blackpink had achieved what few artists ever do, bridging East and West, blending cultures and uniting millions under one name. They had become a symbol, not just of success, but of resilience and inspiration. As the year closed, with confetti falling and the final chords of Forever, Young echoing across packed arenas, the message was clear. Blackpink wasn't just in your area anymore. They were everywhere.
Blackpink, the 2020 journey, the powerhouse era. 2020, the year Blackpink proved they weren't just a sensation, they were a powerhouse. The world was changing. Stages were silent, concerts postponed, and millions were stuck behind screens. But even in isolation, Blackpink's energy found a way to reach every corner of the planet. On June 26, 2020, the silence broke. How You Like That dropped, and the internet exploded. The opening line, "Blackpink in your area," hit harder than ever. Dressed in striking outfits, dancing against fiery backdrops and icy landscapes, the girls showed evolution, resilience, and power. Within 24 hours, the music video shattered YouTube records, becoming the fastest to surpass 100 million views. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a declaration. Nothing could stop Blackpink. The song became an anthem of strength during uncertain times. Fans worldwide danced, recreated the choreography, and found hope in the line, "Look at you. Now look at me." It was bold, fearless, and unapologetic, just like them. Then came their first full-length studio project, the album. For years, fans had waited for this moment. In October 2020, Blackpink finally delivered 8 tracks that showcased every side of who they were. From the fierce energy of Pretty Savage to the emotional honesty of You Never Know, the album wasn't just a collection of songs, it was a reflection of their journey, their growth, and their individuality. And then came Ice Cream, their iconic collaboration with Selena Gomez. A burst of pastel visuals and playful lyrics, it symbolized a new phase. Blackpink was now blending seamlessly into Western pop while keeping their unique K-pop essence alive. Their documentary, Blackpink, Light Up the Sky, released on Netflix, offered fans something even more powerful: the truth behind the glitter. It showed the world their raw emotions, their struggles, their dreams, and their unbreakable bond. We saw them as young trainees, exhausted but determined, and as women who had risen to inspire millions. Rosé's late-night recording moments, Lisa's endless practice sessions, Jisoo's quiet leadership, Jennie's emotional strength. Every frame reminded fans that their success wasn't magic. It was years of hard work, tears, and persistence. Even with no live audience, Blackpink connected through screens. Their The Show concert, streamed globally, proved their artistry could transcend any barrier. Each performance radiated emotion. By the end of 2020, Blackpink had broken dozens of records: Billboard charts, YouTube milestones, streaming numbers. But beyond statistics, they had become a source of comfort and empowerment in a dark year. They weren't just performing anymore, they were healing. They reminded millions that strength isn't about being unbreakable, it's about shining, even when the world feels dim. 2020 wasn't just the year Blackpink conquered charts, it was the year they lit up the sky.
Blackpink, the 2022 journey, the return of the queens. 2022, the comeback the world had been waiting for. After 2 years of anticipation, whispers, and longing, Blackpink finally returned. And they didn't just come back, they came back bigger. The year began with quiet preparation. Behind closed studio doors, the 4 women who had already conquered the world were chasing something deeper. Reinvention. They had grown, changed, and evolved during their break. August 19th, 2022, the teaser for Pink Venom dropped, and the internet broke. Fierce, dark, cinematic. The girls emerged from shadows like warriors. The sound of the traditional Korean geomungo, fused with hip-hop beats, announced a new era. Born Pink. When the music video premiered, it shattered records instantly. Blackpink became the fastest female group to surpass 100 million views once again. The visuals were intoxicating. Jennie rapping with razor-sharp confidence. Rosé's haunting vocals echoing through desert ruins. Lisa commanding the beat with fire in her eyes. And Jisoo radiating elegance in every frame. Taste that pink venom. It wasn't just a lyric. It was a statement. A reminder that Blackpink's energy was untouchable. Then, in September, Born Pink was released. Their second studio album. It was an anthem of empowerment, filled with tracks that showed their range and growth. From the swagger of Shutdown to the vulnerability of The Happiest Girl, the album carried emotional depth beneath its polished sound. Shutdown sampled a classical masterpiece, blending tradition with modern defiance, a symbol of how Blackpink had learned to command respect, not just attention. The world responded with overwhelming love. Born Pink debuted at #1 on charts across multiple countries, including the US Billboard 200, making Blackpink the first female K-pop group to ever achieve it. And then came the Born Pink World Tour, their largest yet. From Seoul to London, from Bangkok to Los Angeles, arenas and stadiums filled with glowing pink light sticks. Fans screamed every lyric, cried every verse. The tour wasn't just a concert, it was a reunion. After years apart, Blackpink and their Blinks were finally face to face again. Each night, the girls gave everything: sweat, emotion, gratitude, Rosé's heartfelt speeches, Jennie's fierce stage presence, Jisoo's radiant smiles, Lisa's electrifying dances. Together, they reminded everyone why Blackpink. 2022 also saw them conquer the fashion world like never before, walking at Paris Fashion Week, gracing magazine covers, and representing the world's most prestigious brands wherever they went. The message was clear. They weren't following trends. They were the trend. By the end of 2022, Blackpink had proven something once again. After silence, their return wasn't just a comeback. It was a rebirth. Two years apart, yet stronger than ever, Blackpink was never gone. They were only preparing to rise higher.
Blackpink, the final chapter, Legacy of the Queens. 2023-2025. 2023, the year Blackpink didn't just make history. They became history. After conquering charts, runways, and streaming records, they stood at the very top as global icons, as sisters, as legends. In April 2023, Blackpink returned to the stage that had once introduced them to the Western world, Coachella. But this time, they weren't guests. They were headliners, the first K-pop group ever to headline the world's biggest music festival. As the crowd of over 125,000 people screamed in unison, Jennie, Jisoo, Lisa, and Rosé, Blackpink wasn't just performing, they were owning a moment that would be remembered for generations. Their Coachella set was cinematic. Fire, glitter, tradition, and modernity colliding in perfect rhythm. The crowd roared for Jennie's charisma, Lisa's precision, Jisoo's charm, and Rosé's soul, the core of what made Blackpink untouchable. As 2023 continued, their Born Pink World Tour expanded into a global phenomenon. Over 1.8 million tickets sold, from Seoul to Paris, Sydney to Mexico City. Each performance was more than a concert. It was a celebration. In August, Jisoo released her long-awaited solo single, Flower. Delicate yet powerful, the song reflected her grace, a quiet beauty blooming under pressure. It topped charts worldwide. Completing the circle, every member of Blackpink had now gone solo, yet each remained part of something bigger than herself. 2024 marked the end of the Born Pink era. But it wasn't an ending. It was a transformation. Blackpink had spent nearly a decade rewriting what it meant to be artists, women, and leaders in a male-dominated industry. They had proven that their music had become more than entertainment. It was empowerment. Young girls who once danced to Boombaya in their bedrooms were now pursuing their own dreams, inspired by 4 women who dared to do the impossible. As Blackpink continued to appear on global stages, award shows, and fashion events, their influence reached far beyond music. They became ambassadors of culture, philanthropy, and progress, using their voices for causes that mattered, from climate awareness to education and equality. Then came 2025, a full circle moment. Their decade-long journey was honored with a final global encore tour. The Blackpink, the Legacy Tour, a breathtaking celebration of 10 years together. Every concert felt like a movie, filled with nostalgia and gratitude. Fans cried, laughed, and sang along, because this wasn't just a concert anymore. It was family saying thank you to family. As fireworks lit up the night sky, the stage lights dimmed one last time, the crowd still chanting, "Blackpink in your area." And in that moment, it was clear. Blackpink was no longer just in our area. They were in history, in music, in culture, in hearts, forever. From trainees to legends, Blackpink 2016-2025. Not the end. Just the beginning of their legacy.